Hello and welcome back to Redbud. This is part 2 of our raised bed videos, and as you can see, it's amazing what a couple weeks will do. We're getting a little bit of light rain right here, but you can see that our tomatoes have done wonderfully. Let's kind of come in and take a closer look at some of our tomatoes. Not quite ripe yet, but coming along nicely. Yeah, so really happy with the progress. It's amazing what a little bit of rain, some loose, rich soil will accomplish, and I think our raised bed is a success. No matter how nice Redbud is, this is the reality of being in this farmy, high grass area where we try and leave things a little bit natural, is that we got to deal with these little fellas. Yeah, crawling up my leg. He won't last too long. Unfortunately, we have to help the dog out and make sure that no ticks get on the dog. So there he goes. Better take care of him before he gets too far. A lot of you might be asking, what is a raised bed and why do I want one? The truth of the matter is, when you're living in Georgia, we've got Georgia red clay. It is solid. When I watch TV shows, home and garden improvement shows, I see people out there saying, hey, I'm going to plant something, and they get out their shovel as the first implement to break ground. I'm extremely jealous. When I have to dig a hole in the ground, this pickaxe is my first implement to kind of break up the ground. We don't have a lot of rocks for the most part. We do have some granite and some quartz, but this clay, when it's dry, is just so hard. Pickaxe is the best tool to get started. And the opposite is true too. When it's 100% saturated with water, the ground turns to like a pudding. So how do you garden in soil like that? And the answer is you use raised beds. With raised beds, you kind of elevate, instead of digging into the Georgia clay, you kind of elevate the you create a platform that's elevated, you fill it with good soil. It's got topsoil, manure, compost, everything like that. You get great drainage, you get great nutrients, the plants are happy, you're happy. The side benefit is that it is raised off the ground a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier to weed, makes it a little bit easier to harvest. So raised beds in the south, it's a good idea. Here's some raised beds that I made out of some sweet gum trees that I had cut down. Sweet gum trees aren't good to burn. They're not good for lumber, but they're good for raised beds. So I kind of made the log cabin notching in them and filled them up with dirt. And so I've got 4 of those. Got a little bit late in the season for me. The leaves came in on the trees, so it makes it a little bit harder to get the trees down. So as I pan around, then you can see where I'm going to put this raised bed. Just gets us a few more tomato plants. So let's get started getting that put into the ground. I'm going to get started by coming along with the shovel and just kind of marking the outside edge. You may be able to see we're on a downward slope here, and what I want to do is level up the ground a little bit. So that means digging in a little bit on the upper side, kind of get that raised bed as level as possible. There's a stump just to the upper side of it, so that's going to be its own challenge, but it is what it is, so let's get started. I know some of you might be asking, why am I putting this raised bed so close to that stump? You know, obviously there's going to be roots in the ground, and the answer is sun, or lack thereof. It's hard to believe that in Georgia we have lack of sun, but the truth of the matter is this part of Redbud was completely forest, heavy forest. I actually called the jungle a year ago, and I've cleared out this land, and we've tried to clear a lane east and west so that the sun can track through it. But you can see, let me pan around here, we've got so many trees that we've just got this open gap where there's adequate sun to kind of grow these sun-loving plants like tomatoes and squash and so on. So even though Georgia's quite sunny, it's hard to get sun here at Redbud. You have to decide whether you're going to buy a property that's cleared and you grow some trees, or whether you buy a property that's got the forest and you clear it for growing area, and that's what we decided to do. So, roots, here I come. It was a hard-fought battle, but we didn't give up. So we've got our pallet. It's, even though it's supposed to be a raised bed, it's still a little bit in the ground, just make it level. And what we want to do is do a little bit of weed block here. Now we could buy some landscape cloth, but also we can cover the ground with some newspaper. Newspaper in this case was free. Ideally you don't want the stuff with colored ink, but this is going to be so deep down, you know, I don't think it'll do any harm. We'll put that down. It'll be a little bit of a weed block, keep the roots and trees and muscadine and everything growing up from the bottom. So let's move our pallet out of the way and let's cover it with some paper. Alright, so we've got the fit done, and I put down some newsprint as weed block, and now comes time to fill this space back up. So I'll use some dirt that I dug out to kind of level this, but also I have some other dirt that's a little bit better than the normal clay. This was a hard-fought battle. In the top couple inches is good loose soil. It's kind of forest soil. You know, it's leaf litter, decomposed, all sorts of plant material. But 3 inches down, you get that red Georgia clay, and that makes digging difficult. The roots don't help for sure. Roots are probably the worst. there you have it. One raised bed made out of 2 pallets, filled, ready for plants, ready for the tomatoes. I think that they'll enjoy this soil much better than if they were in the hard packed clay. There comes a time where you call a project done. I think we are there. 4 tomato plants in our raised bed. This one with a little spoon labeled for tomato drying. So we'll dry out those tomatoes as opposed to like a tomato paste or a tomato that you'd use just to eat on a sandwich or whatever. So there we go. Raised bed. Let's pull back. And we're seeing our raised bed there, nice and filled. All that is left to do is water it in, or hopefully have a little rain. There we have it. One project, one day. Raised bed using 2 pallets. If you like this video, please check the thumbs up down below. If you have a question or comment, leave that below as well. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. If you like my channel, subscribe, and that really helps me out. Appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you next time at Redbud.